Meet the worry window. Sound like something you'd scroll past on a self-help app? What if we gave it a snappier name? The daily spiral, the panic room, or the stress sesh. If one of those could stop your doom scroll, this technique is for you. It's a deliberate approach, uniquely effective, custom-made for overthinkers and anyone whose brain refuses to zip it. Here's the concept. Set aside a specific time each day, let's say 15 to 20 minutes. Never fear, it's not for meditation. In this window of time, you give yourself permission to think about everything. Yep, all of it. Your job, your relationships, the bills, that awkward thing you said that keeps you up at night. Here's the catch. Outside of that window, you are not allowed to worry. If an anxious thought pops up at 2 p.m. and your worry window is at 7, you tell yourself, nope, not now. We'll deal with this later. Your brain knows its 15 minutes of fame are coming, so tell it to wait its turn. Why does this work? Anxious brains love to worry at the worst possible times. 3 a.m.? Perfect time to replay every embarrassing moment from the last decade. Middle of a work meeting? Great time to panic about your finances. A designated worry window gives your brain a structured outlet. Think of it like taking your hyperactive dog to the park. You let it run wild in a controlled space, then it's calm for the rest of the day. Now I know what you're thinking. Won't this encourage me to worry even more? Maybe at first, but most people find that when they sit down to worry on purpose, half the stuff doesn't even seem worth worrying about anymore. Invite every worry and rumination. This is their party. Then go sip your coffee in peace. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. It sounds like a NASA countdown, but it's way less exciting and way more helpful. Here's how it goes. Name 5 things you can see. Could be your coffee mug, the plant dying without complaint, the teacher's polka dot bow tie, the weird stain on the ceiling, or that sticky note you're sure you've tossed twice already. Doesn't matter. Just name them. Then 4 things you can touch. Your jeans, the desk, your phone, that stress ball you bought but never actually use. Next, 3 things you can hear. Maybe it's traffic outside, someone typing, or your neighbor's terrible music taste bleeding through the walls. Then 2 things you can smell. Coffee, your own cologne, or if you're like me, the faint scent of regret and day-old pizza. Finally, 1 thing you can taste. Could be your last meal, or the anxiety itself, which somehow tastes like metal and bad decisions. The point is to hijack your brain from panic mode and drag it back to the present. When you're anxious, your brain is basically running Windows 95, trying to open Chrome. It's overwhelmed, spinning, going nowhere. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 redirects the brain to focus on concrete, real things happening right now, not that imaginary catastrophe it's trying to cook up. Is it time to hit Control-Alt-Delete on your nervous system? Okay, next up, box breathing. No, you don't need an actual box, though I respect the dedication if you grabbed one. This is a breathing technique used by Navy SEALs, so it must work. Here's the process. You breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds. Breathe out for 4 seconds. Hold again for 4 seconds. Repeat. That's it. You're turning your lungs into a metronome. In, hold, out, hold. 4 sides of a box. Let's try it. I'll count, you breathe. 20 seconds. Ready? Inhaling. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhaling. 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Inhaling. 3, 2, 1. Rinse and repeat. Easy, right? Why does this work? When you're anxious, your heart rate spikes and your breathing goes all over the place. Box breathing slows your breath, helps regulate cortisol levels, distracts the mind with a focus point, and enhances mental clarity. The best part? You can do this anywhere. Sitting in traffic, waiting for a job interview, hiding in the bathroom at a party you didn't want to go to, trying to sleep the night before the big exam. Just breathe. We do it all the time. Now try it on purpose. Repeat the exercise until you feel less like a malfunctioning robot and more like a functional human being. Talking to someone. Maybe this could be higher on the list, and some days you might need to put it there. But I think you're incredible exactly where you are. You're strong, capable, and fully equipped to work through so many of the things that cause you anxiety with the tools you already have. And yet, sometimes we all need support. Someone who listens without judgment. Have you seen Meet the Fockers? Pick someone from your circle of trust. If you're already feeling fearful of how they might respond, choose someone else. People who love us can surprise us when we start with, hey, I'm going through something, and I really need a non-judging ear of compassion to sort it out. Try it. with the one who feels safest. And if you don't have that person in your circle right now, reach out to a coach or mentor. When we're anxious, our thoughts spiral. They get bigger, louder, and scarier because our brains are wired to follow the path of least resistance. One anxious thought tells the supercomputer in your head to pull up every reason you've ever had to be anxious, unless you say stop. And if your usual techniques aren't working, talk it out. Something strange happens when you say your worries out loud. They shrink. The thing that felt like the end of the world suddenly sounds manageable. Sometimes the other person will reframe it for you or point out something obvious you missed. And sometimes you just get a great big bear hug out of it, which might not solve the problem, but it absolutely reminds you that you matter. Anxiety does not define you. At different stages of life, this won't be enough, and reaching out to a therapist is more accessible than ever. They are trained to help you untangle the mess and reconnect with what matters most, you and the beauty you bring to the world. Vulnerability feels uncomfortable, but consider this: you have to get uncomfortable to find comfort within your discomfort. You've got this. Physical exercise. The anxiety killer. All right, here's one everyone knows but hates to hear. Yeah, I know. You're anxious and tired. The last thing you want to do is go for a run or hit the gym. But here's the brutal truth. Physical activity is one of the most effective anxiety killers out there. My grandma always said,
"Go take a brisk walk around the block."
And how right she was. When you're anxious, your body is flooded with stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, all the fun stuff that makes you feel like you're about to be eaten by a lion. Except you're not. You're just sitting at your desk. Your body's prepped for action, but there's nothing to act on. That's where exercise comes in. You don't need to train for a marathon or become some gym bro who only talks about protein shakes. Just move. Listen to grandma. Take that brisk walk. Do some sit-ups. Dance like nobody's watching. The point is to burn off that excess energy and give your body something to do with all those stress hormones. The science. Exercise releases endorphins, which are your brain's natural happy chemicals. It also reduces cortisol levels and improves your mood. When you're working out or in nature, you're not focused on what's making you anxious. It's a built-in distraction that actually benefits you. 10 to 30 minutes of moderate exercise will make a huge difference. A brisk walk, a bike ride, dancing, or some yoga if you're into that. The key is consistency. You can't just exercise once and expect all your anxiety to vanish. It's more like brushing your teeth. Choose a routine that can outlast Monday. The magic is in the repetition, not the intensity. Journaling, the brain dump. Let's talk about journaling. And before you roll your eyes or picture a middle school diary, hear me out. Journaling isn't about, "Dear diary, today I had feelings." It's more like unclogging the toilet and having a place to let that shit go. When you're anxious, your thoughts are like 100 browser tabs all playing at once. Journaling is basically closing those tabs one by one. You write down what's bothering you, not in a poetic way, not in a "this will be published someday" way. Raw, messy, unfiltered brain vomit. I'm stressed about work. I think my boss hates me. I'm worried I'm going to mess up the presentation. Also, did I turn off the stove? I can't remember. Why can't I remember? Write it all down. Putting it on paper gets it out of your head and stops it swirling around. Once it's written down, you can look at it objectively. Often you'll see some is real and some is your brain being dramatic. You can separate the real problems from the imaginary ones. You are debugging your own mind. Now you've cleared space for the things that make you feel alive. Laughter, creativity, connection, curiosity, and all the little moments that bring you joy. A fancy journal, a random notebook, the back of an envelope, a Google Doc. Use whatever works. Get it out of your head and onto something external. Your brain will thank you. Bonus points. At the end of the dump, scribble down 5 to 10 things you're grateful for in your life, and you will be one more step ahead. Time for a little brain hack. The what-if reversal. Anxious minds love what-if questions. What if I fail? What if they hate me? What if everything goes wrong? Our brains can get stuck in a state of catastrophizing. Let's flip it. If you hear yourself say, "What if," any negative self-talk, stop. Ask, what if everything goes right? What if I nail that presentation? What if people actually like me? What if things work out better than I expected? Sound cheesy? Who cares? It works. Why does this help? Because anxiety is your brain's worst-case scenario simulator running on overdrive. It's not operating in real time. It's being a pessimistic jerk. For years, we've let our brains bump along that dirt road. They've become hardwired, and now it's habitual. The good news? We can reroute those neural superhighways and build new ones. It does take practice. Choose, keep it on autopilot down the familiar autobahn of anxiety. Or practice, acknowledge the small wins, and those new lanes will lead you to greener pastures. I believe in you. The cost cost? Free. The payout? Exponential. Newsflash, you can control your mind and stop letting it control you. You're not trying to convince yourself that everything is perfect. You're simply balancing out the negativity bias. Reality check. If you're going to make up scenarios in your head, you might as well make up some good ones. Your brain is already writing fiction. Maybe it's time to recalibrate the narrative. What if you start writing the story you want to live? And last, but paradoxically not least, the most counterintuitive coping mechanism, accepting the anxiety. Yeah, I know that sounds like terrible advice. Just accept it. What kind of hippie nonsense is that? But stay with me. A lot of anxiety comes from fighting the anxiety itself. You're anxious, and then you get anxious about being anxious. It's like, why am I feeling this way? I shouldn't feel this way. What's wrong with me? And now you're spiraling. You're not only dealing with the original anxiety anymore, you're dealing with the anxiety about the anxiety. At its core, it's just anxiety, the root of it all. Anxiety is just a feeling. It's uncomfortable, sure, but it's not dangerous. It won't actually hurt you, and the more you fight it, the worse it gets. It's like quicksand. The harder you struggle, the deeper you sink. So instead, try this. When you feel anxiety coming on, acknowledge it. Okay, I'm feeling anxious right now. This is happening. Don't judge it. Don't panic about it. Quietly notice it. Let it be there. It's like a wave. If you try to fight the wave, you'll drown. But if you ride it out, it passes. This is the foundation of mindfulness and acceptance-based therapies. You stop treating anxiety like the enemy and start seeing it as an annoying houseguest, uncomfortable but temporary. And once you stop fighting it, once you stop adding that second layer of panic, it surprisingly becomes more manageable. Does this mean you'll never be anxious again? Nope. Anxiety's part of being human, but you can change your relationship with it. Instead of running from it or fighting it, you just let it exist, and then you go about your day anyway. Give yourself permission to calibrate and set the tone for your day, because at the end of the day, anxiety doesn't get to run your life. You do.